Hard, heavy, and hair. Badass music for badass listeners. With Pariah Burke.
This is Pariah Burke, your hard-talking, heavy-drinking hairball host of the Hard, Heavy, and Hair Show. If I said I heard a new hardcore country band, new country metal artists, what sound of music would enter your mind? To quote a guitarist I just met, your first urge might be to exclaim, "Keep your country out of my metal." A few weeks ago, I might have said the same thing. But then I discovered the music of a bandit-masked gang of outlaw headbangers calling themselves Silo. Since then, you've heard me play their music on the Hard, Heavy, and Hair weekly radio show. One day I was talking to a hard rock and metal fan in the Hard Rock, Heavy Metal, and Hair Bands Facebook group, and this fan said, when Silo comes out, it's going to change everything. When I hear a bold claim like that, I have to look into it. Silo rocked me straight out of the saddle of my iron horse with their first single, Glitter and Gold, which is also the title of the debut album they released just 2 days after the band and I hung out on Zoom. You're about to watch that conversation.
I'm Pariah Burke, host of the Hard, Heavy, and Hair Show, and I am joined by Silo. Who are we talking to? Matt, what do you do?
I'm Matt. I am the lead singer and primary cheerleader for the band.
I'm Brian. I am one of the guitar players and the primary slave driver of the band.
That's also true. Yeah, and make sure we're on time. And who are you, Pariah?
Just a Harley riding, hard drinking radio talk show host.
I love it. What kind of Harley do you have?
A couple, but a soft tail at the moment.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that later. Maybe get together for a ride at some point.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
I
man.
never did bikes, but I got plenty of classic cars. That's my thing.
Yeah, that is true too. He can chaperone.
I'm scared of bikes, man. I got a dirty enough habit with old cars.
I know. It's the last thing you need, huh?
What
Fancy guitars and cars.
What are you driving, Brian?
Oh, I got a '63 Corvair. I got a Thunderbird,
Nice.
Nova, Supra, Cougar, Beetle. Like, think about it, because I'm like, I got so many cars. But they come and go. I like swap and trade, and I rebuild them and whatever. It's kind of something to keep my hands busy when I'm not keeping my hands busy playing guitar for this band, which is not often.
But very efficient when we do.
I can imagine you don't have a lot of free time now that you just dropped your brand new album.
That is true. You know, we're spending a lot of time promoting and talking to people. This is exciting for me because this project came together so fast and kind of by chance that, you know, we're in full on promotion mode at this point, but we're already itching to get back in the studio and work on the second. So.
Oh, wow. Do you already have songs written?
We have ideas fleshed out, and I'll let Brian touch on that a little bit more. But typically, we just keep a nice big arsenal of song ideas and riffs. You know, whether it's recorded on a phone or through someone's interface at home, and we just compile them and we see kind of what is speaking to us, and then usually they, shake a stick at me and say, "Go write words." And I'll do that, and they say, "Those were awful, go do it again." And after we do it enough times, we end up with something that everybody can stomach. So I always say I'm just grateful to be involved, and I just hope I still get to be in the band.
He always says that, like, I don't know, I just hope I get to be in the band. And we're about to release a record, and it's like, I just hope I get to be in the band.
It's gonna be something when we find a real singer. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, Pariah.
Well, that's good. Music should be fun. Especially, this is your first album, right? All together as Silo?
Yes.
So this should be a blast for you guys. A lot of work, I'm sure, but this is when you should be having fun.
None of us are strangers to writing music. Many of us have toured, and we've put out records, and we've done the radio thing and whatever for a number of years. But some of it's a little newer for some of us than others, but this being our first album for this project with this new style of music, we think is pretty unique. Although there are other sort of country rock or southern rock or maybe metal with some twang hybrid type, types of music out there. Like, we really think we have something special and unique, and this is something that I wanted to do for the better part of a decade. So we're excited to unleash it onto the world. Obviously, we've thrown out some singles. You've played those. Thank you for spinning some silo. Hopefully, your audience has been digging it, and hopefully they dig.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully, they dig the rest of the album when it comes out. But yeah, we're excited. We're trying to get traction. We just formulated this in the end of July. Like, we hit the studio the beginning of August. This is will tell you why I'm the slave driver, Pariah, is because I like roped these kids into this craziness. And I was like, I've been wanting to do this for 10 years. And, for the time span of like the first week of August going into the studio until like maybe 2 months later, we had almost the whole record written. And we had a music video filmed, and we were filming our second music video, which they're both out now. But just in the span of like 60 days, like, we just came up with this whole thing, like the look, the persona, the brand, the music, the media, the social profiles, and all of that stuff. And we've just been like gung ho ever since. So we're just getting started. So when you ask about new music. Yeah, we already got some new music. We're already thinking about the second album. We're thinking about the next 5 music videos and all that good stuff.
Well, that's great. So I don't know if anybody will hear the album by the time they see this interview, but I have heard it, and I really like it. I've heard every song on it, not just the singles I've played. And I did play Glitter and Gold and then War Paint. And I played Glitter and Gold, and then I asked my listeners to tell me what they thought. Did they want to hear more silo? And the overwhelming answer was yes. I mean, I played War Paint because I heard from the listeners. They're very into you guys. They love the sound.
That's very cool.
So I'm
humbled. Here's a little side story about this. So we actually, like you said, this all came together very quickly. The first day that I met these guys in person was the same day that we walked into a studio and Glitter and Gold happened.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, everything happened very quickly. We had another tune that they had, tried another singer on, and they sent me an instrumental version, and I took a crack at it, and it's still in the arsenal for us. But, we finished that first one, the first half of the day in the studio, and the second day or the second half of that first day, we went in and did Glitter and Gold, or what became Glitter and Gold. And it happened so quickly that we kind of looked at each other and said, we might be onto something here. So it all happened so fast, and I just hope it keeps going, man. The momentum's been crazy. It's felt like I've been on a rocket ship, because I've not ever been in a serious rock band like this before. I came from more of the countryside and more of just a singer-songwriter playing with an acoustic. I've always loved hard rock and metal, as a fan, and of course just sitting in the bedroom, playing an electric guitar. But it wasn't until these guys said, hey, we have an idea where we want to combine these two, and we're looking for someone crazy enough to try it with us, that I said, I think, I got to check these guys out. So yeah, Glitter is I often forget this, but it was the first day that I met these guys, and I'm so grateful that I did.
He's not giving you the full story, Pariah.
What is the full story, Brian?
So my perspective from his perspective is, he decided like, it's COVID times. I need a nice hobby. I've always wanted to do music. And he's just perusing the old Craigslist looking for a project. And unbeknownst to him, he hits us up, not even knowing what's about to unfold of him. Next thing you know, I'm flying from Kansas City to Denver, picking his butt up. We're going to the studio, and we're like, get in there and do this. And then all of a sudden, we're recording a music video 30 days later, and he's probably thinking, what the hell did I get myself into?
I mean, if you're gonna do it right.
Was it kind of like you pulled up and you said, come with me if you want to sing?
Come with me if you want to know.
Actually, no, so here's the rest of that story. He didn't tell you about his
playing off the
Craigslist.
Come with me if you want to live mean.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I'm literally, dude, I don't think I've ever been on Craigslist, maybe once before. Just I looked at the, the musicians page. Just I like to see what's out there. And I see this ad that says, singer wanted for hardcore country band. And I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. And I click on it, and it's a picture of a Samuel L. Jackson in a cowboy hat, photoshopped on an Alan Jackson album cover. And the caption is, "Country music, motherfucker, do you sing it?"
Nice.
And the next line was, we're looking for somebody that wants to do something somewhere across between Beartooth and Luke Bryan. And I was like, if I was going to make a band that was a dream band and I had no limitations to bending genre, that's about what I would do. So I've said, could this be any more perfect? I think this is a dream project. I'd love to chat with you guys further. And it does feel like it was a blur, because next thing I know, he's out there, we're getting picked up, we're at the studio, and I think it was less than 30 days. I was sweating my balls off on a soundstage with hay bales and a stripper pole doing the glitter and gold video. And, we haven't slowed down since. So it's very funny how that came together.
Okay. I like the dichotomy of the imagery you just set up. You said Samuel L. Jackson's head on Alan Jackson's body.
For his album cover.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then Beartooth and who?
Luke Bryan.
Luke Bryan. And then stripper pole and bales of hay.
Hay bales.
And that really sums up what I'm hearing on the album.
Good. We're so glad.
Those three pairs of images. Yeah.
That means we hit something right, and I'm still blown away. We started dropping equipment off at the soundstage for the video shoot, and the crew was like, we see stripper poles and gold paint and hay bales. What are we doing here? Like, they had never seen anything like that. So I got to give a credit to these guys. This is definitely Brian's brainchild, along with one of our other co-writers, who's a brilliant musician. And they've been wanting to do this for a while, and I think it kind of took this whole pandemic and everything to happen for us to connect and for it to really work out. But, I found brothers in this, and now, we text every day. It's like a relationship, and it really is awesome.
That's really cool. You found your tribe.
We definitely did. Yeah. Silo country. What's up, everybody?
Okay, so before we get too far afield, I want to come back and ask a question, but I also want to, who else is in the band?
Great question. So there's some history on that too, even though like all this is just kind of spun out of nothing real fast. Ironically, when we reached out to find a producer to produce our album, I just kind of did the same thing I did to find our singer, which is I threw up, call them ads or call them whatever you want to, just kind of put feelers out there. And someone responded and said, "Oh, country and metal, you want to produce that?" Like, oh, there's a guy that might be interested in that. And they tagged a producer. His name is Eric, and he's the producer at a studio north of Denver. And so I called him up and I was like, "Hey, how do you feel about producing some country metal?" And he's like, "Well," he's like, "I produce country all the time, and I produce metal all the time. Love them both. Never did them together. Hell, why not?" And so as Matt was saying, like we all banded together. I flew into Denver. And we got in a car, drove up there, whatever, and we started working with the producer on the music. And he's super cool. Eric's super cool. And then, as a month goes by, we do the music video and we're like, oh shit, we're only a 3-piece. We need a bass player and a drummer in here, And so we invited him to actually be in the music video and play the role of our bass player. Well, a couple weeks go on and we're writing more of the album or whatever. And it just finally came to our producer, the guy that's producing our album. He's like, he just needs to be in the band. Like, he just wants to be in the band. We want him in the band. So our producer ends up being in the band with us. So Eric is our bass player. He's also our producer. So kind of a fairy tale story there. Like, I've never heard of a producer loving a band so much that he wanted to actually be in the band with them. So that's cool. And then as far as our drummer goes, we've been working with a gentleman. Oh my God, I'm totally brain farting. What's his name?
Trevor.
No,
No, not Trevor. Seth.
wrong. Seth. And the reason why we can't remember his name is because he's a hired gun. Pariah.
Okay.
Our drummer is not an official band member, which, you know, if you know touring, you know, musicians, especially country musicians, like it's pretty common for them to do hired guns when they're on tour or hire a studio drummer or studio musician to come in. We've had studio musicians come in and help do some of the fiddle and other instruments on our album because, you know, I mean, we can all play a little bit of fiddle, a little bit of banjo, but, you know, there's some of us are better at other instruments than others. So in terms of, other sounds on the album and in terms of like touring, we're going the hired gun route in some areas. So the band is Matt, singer, myself, guitar player, Eric, who was our producer, now is our bass player, and Adrian, who is our other guitar player. Does that help? I felt like that was like a winded explanation for your question.
No, that's great. Thank you. No, I'm not. It's not court. I'm not looking for really succinct answers.
You feel free to tell me to shut the hell up anytime.
No, you're great. But I do want to ask, you don't have a last name, Brian.
Well, I do have a last name. So here's the deal with that. And actually, we get people that like inbox our social profiles, and they're like, "Great, what do I call you?" I'm like, "Hey, you just call me B." Or Papa Silo. These guys call me Papa Silo because I'm like the dad of the band, or however you want to position that. I don't know why they call me that, but I just I'm cool with saying my name's Brian. Like most people, I just say, "Hey, call me B" or whatever. And the reason behind that is because I was actually in another band and a touring musician before and semi-recognized in public, and I still get it to this day. But there's been instances where I would recognize in public when I didn't want to, and it's affected my personal life. And I've had situations in the past where like I've been stalked or, just weird stuff. And so I'm not really trying to be like cryptic or like, ominous or however you want to position with like not really putting my name out there. You can find it if you dig real deep. Like obviously, like our music's credited online and in the music registries or whatever, because you kind of have to have your name on stuff to get credit for royalties and stuff. So if people really dig and they want to know my full name, great, go find it. But I'm trying not to get stalkers, and I'm trying not to let being a musician affect my personal life. Is the short story there.
And I totally get that. A lot of my friends are musicians and entertainers of other form. And I'm an entertainer myself. And yeah, some people can get weird, and suddenly you have a relationship with somebody you've never met before. Mm-hmm. Like that woman recently who had, what was it? She was in a relationship with Nikki Sixx and his girlfriend and Bret Michaels of Poison, but it was, no, I know what you're saying.
Oh, I've had strange phone calls. I've had people show up in my house. It's, the older I get, the more important it is this sort of maintain that anonymity. And, I hope Successful blows up and gets huge. And I hope that I have that problem. Like, I hope that I have the problem of like fending off stalkers. Like, I definitely would want to see that level of success for Silo, but it's like, if I can mitigate some of that, because I've in previous projects, I've gotten to a point where I was recognizable, and I did start getting like that little bit of creepiness and insanity from the fan base at the time. And so I just know from experience, I'm like, well, if Silo's going to get as big as I am hoping it'll get, I'm probably going to do some damage control on the front end.
Yeah.
Just push it all towards me. And, we try to keep it about the music too. That's a sort of a cop-out answer, but there's something to that, Of course, there's, like you said, there's always people who are going to cross that line of privacy and personal space and whatnot. But at the end of the day, we're just four guys who try to laugh as much as we can and make music that, we want to hear that, excuse me, hasn't existed. So, not in the way we're doing it. And, again, like you said, there's ways to find us on credits and whatnot, but anybody's going to have to really dig.
Have you thought of coming up with pseudonyms?
Yeah.
Yeah, we thought about like it's like a Slipknot did the number thing, and then other bands do the nickname thing. Like we definitely have nicknames for each other, and we toyed around with the idea of like having a consistent naming convention and a background story. But ultimately, at least my perspective of it, and Matt, feel free to like tell me if you think differently. But you've kind of already mentioned it, or you alluded to it. It's like we're really putting ourselves out there at the front of this. Like the music's what should come first, and that's why like you go to our website, you don't see like, oh, each one of us has a bio and it talks about our gear and what hometown we're from and all that stuff. Which I understand bands do that because it gives people something to gravitate towards, but we're trying to we're trying to do that through other means. Like Matt's a great story writer, great script writer. So we put out these blogs that like tell these elaborate stories that are very narrative and like fun to read, and just. But it's more about the funness of it. It's more about the music, and it always circles it back around to the music. But yeah, I personally like. I don't see the need of having like detailed information about each one of us out there for everyone to just hang on to, right? Keep the focus on the music.
I think that's what's really cool too, is that it has banded us behind something that's a little bit bigger than each one of us. No one in this is individually seeking fame in that regard. It's really about let's make something cool, and if people vibe with it, then even better. And if it someday turns into the machine that pays everyone's bills and keeps us on the road and doing what we do with this newfound family, I mean, that's the dream. Sometimes we got to pinch ourselves, and I got to look around and go, guys, we're in a studio making rock music and singing country lyrics, and this guy's trying to figure out how to play a banjo, and how the hell do you rosin a bow for a fiddle? All these things that seem somewhat surreal. The dream is happening, and it's not about Matt or Brian or Adrian or Eric or Seth. It's about Silo, and it's about kind of what we get back from the fans, and the the feedback is really kind of driving this too. Like I said, it's just we want to make stuff that we haven't heard in a genre that has somewhat existed, and people have these satellite ideas of what we've gotten every comparison, and everybody's saying, oh, you guys think you invented this? Well, what about Hank 3? What about Texas Hippie Coalition? They start throwing all these things. Like, we love that. That's part of the reason why we're doing this. We just haven't heard it done on with the same sort of sterling sound and very direct songwriting structure that we use. These are pop song structures that we use that are very universal, and it's not like we shy away from that, but at the same time we're like, more chugs. How is it too country? Metal that fucker up. Is it too heavy? How they're always telling me when I'm in the studio, more ham, because I got to put on the Sam Elliott voice and kind of throw some twang on it. And that's what has been so fun about this, is kind of us exploring what this genre is, and somewhat creating this regional sound. And with that, again, it's about the band. And I've always loved the idea of being in a hardcore country band. And, my brothers to the left and right of me, everybody's in bandanas, like outlaws, so really it was about the outlaw gang instead of the individual outlaw to an extent. So that's why it's been, really interesting to kind of play with this whole thing. And I don't know what Brian wants to add, but
nailed it. You covered like 5 topics.
Cool. Your video for Warpaint, I definitely got the outlaw gang feel as opposed to 4 individuals. It cool. Really came across as that, and the music does too. But I mean, the video really just cemented that.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, except for the hanging upside down part. I probably won't do that again. What's so funny, man, is that it was such a small piece of that video. Only mere seconds am I singing upside down, hanging by the ropes in the barn. But I swear I was upside down for like 5 hours, just going up and down, trying to get this thing, and everybody going, holy shit, how's he doing that? Well, we had somebody that write us in and they said, what, the true winner of this video is his hat staying on that whole time.
Was it fastened with anything?
No, I just have a big head.
Okay.
Yeah, it barely fit to begin with, but I have a big enough. I don't know if you can see in the snapback. I only have 3 buttons done. But especially when my hair is longer, it adds like a whole extra size, on a hat. So it just happened to work out perfectly that I could knock it down pretty good. And then we'd throw me upside down off the ladder and they would pull out away and set the camera and play the song and go. But yeah, probably no more upside down.
So in a music video, we don't hear what you're actually singing or playing on set. You play the track over it. But were you able to actually sing that way, upside down?
Yeah. And the first, I had never shot a music video before. Glitter and Gold was my first music video ever. And I started one of the takes and they finished it and they reset the dolly and everything. And one of the grips comes up to me. He goes, "Are you actually singing?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, that's me on the song." He goes, No. Like here for the video, are you actually singing?" And I said, "No, I'm lip syncing." He goes, "We can tell." So he goes, "Try just singing along with it. You don't have to go full voice. You don't have to try to hit all your notes or anything. But if you're actually singing or even speaking it, it just looks more authentic." So I would say probably 99% of the time, you will actually see me singing to nothing on those videos, trying to link up and remember the words that I wrote.
Conversely, I'm sure if you plugged in my guitar, it would sound like trash. Because Adrian and Eric and I, we're just jumping around so much to get the effect for the video that we're rocking out. It's like we're barely playing the right notes because we're almost like overexerting ourselves. I mean, we're playing it. We know how to play the song, but it's just so funny. Like when you record a music video, you're like, you care more about like your motions and your choreography and like your overall like aesthetic than you do about playing. Because when you look at the music video, like the shots are so quick, it's like there's no way in hell like, oh, someone's gonna look at that and say, oh, his finger was not in the right spot. Like, so we just kind of like throw ambitions out the window and we're just like, let's rock out. So I'm sure if you plugged in our guitars during our music video shoot, it would sound like ass.
It'd be really funny, actually. Yeah, the Glitter and Gold video, when we did the solo on the Gold Telecaster, which Brian and I will talk about in a little bit, I was actually playing that solo there, but in order to look more cinematic and have all the strings pop, we just put E strings, I think, E gold, strings on every single nut. So there's 6 gold E strings that are just fat, and they look good on the camera. But it wasn't what I was playing was how I learned to play that solo that I didn't even record. And we played it back at one point, and what I was playing was just ridiculous. It was pretty funny sounding. Like he said, if you actually had all of our instruments or anything plugged in, it would just be mayhem. They'd be like, what are these guys doing? But yeah, did that answer the question? I'm usually singing in the video. I'm not live tracking, obviously, but trying to lip sync well enough and perform, in some way that is believable so that it looks like I'm emoting, but also that it does look like the words are coming out of my mouth. Yeah. Yeah.
I learned a long time ago, if you're just trying to lip sync, you're all focused in the mask, which is not where most people sing from. So if you actually sing it, even if you're barely audible, you're actually enunciating the syllables. You're getting things out the right way, in the way that you would actually sing it. So it looks more realistic.
Yeah, I got a shout out to Ryan at LSI for giving me that little nod in that first video. Otherwise, I would have still been lip syncing. They would have started calling me Matty Vanilli or something.
Okay, I'm going to write that down because that's actually a pretty good one.
Quotes.
So, maybe after you guys are huge, you come back and you talk to me again when you're working on your second album. I'm going to bring up Matty Vanilli.
Yeah, and I'll lip sync something funny for you to do it. Or maybe we do a funny video. We'll put that in the list of the music video ideas.
Oh, you guys could do that, with the side-by-side dancing, the sideways dancing that they did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Brian's a good dancer.
I don't know about
Do a
that.
hardcore country version of "Girl, You Know It's True."
Don't get us started on covers. We got.
Oh man, what a yeah.
All right, that's actually one of my questions, and we're kind of jumping around here, but I wanted to ask you: do you play covers when you're performing, and which ones?
Well, we actually recorded 2 in the studio with the intention of like, we're going to include a cover on our first album release. Which one of them didn't turn out great, and the other one turned out really good, but we don't think it's going to like appeal. And really, like, we want to come out of the gate like all silo, right? It's like, hey, here's our album. This is who we are. We don't want to bank on the fame of doing a cover song. There's been lots of bands do that, right? And some of them had actually like destroyed their career, or people never really saw through the cover and really listen to the. I've seen so many bands where like they came out of the gate with their first album, and then they put a cover on, and everyone gravitated toward the cover and essentially neglected the rest of their album. But we will definitely be doing hardcore country covers and releasing them, because there's so many heavy songs out there that could be justified by doing a country version of, and there's so many country songs out there that can be justified by doing a metal version of, and we feel like we have a pretty good list of options of songs that we'd like to do and sort of come out with our silo flavor on them. But yeah, the 2 that we did, they might see the light of day someday, but yeah, we didn't think they were appropriate for the first album.
Well, and on the inverse of that, I had really loved the idea of doing these covers because it was an expedited way for us to be able to add an additional song or 2 to the record. And turns out we ended up writing enough songs fast enough that we were like, we actually don't need them. If we could do a whole debut of just silo songs, originals, why wouldn't we explore that route and then always keep some of these covers in the back pocket? We can always release them as singles later or do videos for them, trying to target the virality of, some of these songs. Some of them are kind of absurd. You would not expect us to do it, but they did turn out pretty awesome. But yeah.
Like what would be one of the absurd ones?
Well, we won't have to bring up the first one because I didn't do it very well. But the second one we hit was one of our band members did a hardcore version of Katy Perry's Dark Horse.
Actually, I can imagine that. That would be pretty good.
And
it came out really well.
It came out really good.
We debated releasing it, but the problem there is it's not going to reach the demographic that we're trying to reach, because yeah, it's hardcore and it's country and it's of our sound, but people that either listen to country with the occasional metal or listen to metal with the occasional country, none of them listen to Katy Perry. And the people who listen to Katy Perry don't really listen to metal or country, so it's kind of like it'd be putting a square peg in a hole.
Right.
Yeah. And I honestly think we will release that one at some point, just because it is so cool and we did a really good job on it. But I think we all agree that like if we're gonna put out a cover, like we're gonna do something that country and metal fans like are gonna appreciate, without a doubt.
I don't know. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the other one that we attempted was remember the band Live from the 90s?
Oh, yeah.
Of course you do. I don't know why you wouldn't. The song I Alone.
Yep.
I alone, damn you, I alone. We did a country metal cover of that song, and we were all stoked about it at first, but then when we started writing more of our originals, we're just like, man, these blow that cover out of the water. And we're just like, we can't release this cover. And again, sort of the same problem. It's like, yeah, that was a 90s alternative rock hit, or however you want to label it. And it don't necessarily know if it would appeal to country heads or metal heads. So just kind of went back to the drawing board on it.
Well, I think that probably would, because I mean it was alternative new metal, but it also had a big pop crossover. So and I hate to kind of draw this gender line, but it was very popular with women, and I think that might get you some more women checking out your band and the music, not so much checking you guys out. But yeah,
according to our Spotify statistics, we're about 50-50 these days.
oh, that's great.
I know it was really
That is
skewed
great.
at first. We were looking at some of these metrics, going, "Wow, we're 98% guys." Well, guess that's who we're targeting to. And the last two songs, whether it's War Paint and After Midnight, have definitely pushed the demographics way closer. So we're excited about that.
Well, I want to ask you about After Midnight, and I want to ask you about specifics of the songs. But if you don't mind me throwing in my 2 cents, I think your instincts on holding off on the covers were right.
Thank you.
I do a lot of covers on my show, but 2020, so many musicians are stuck in the house and they're doing covers and covers and covers ad nauseum, and you got Sammy Hagar and the Circle doing a whole album of covers, which are all great, but that's Sammy Hagar and the Circle, and then you got all these other artists that are also really good artists, maybe not doing the best covers, maybe doing great covers, but we're just kind of cover saturated for a little bit. And I think
Miley Cyrus putting out a Metallica covers album, something's wrong.
Yeah. I'm curious though. I'm really curious.
I love both of those artists. I love Miley. I love me some Miley. I'm all Metallica. That's how I got through a lot of summer schools.
I used to laugh at Miley because of the Hannah Montana stuff, but the more of her music I listen to, the more I respect her as a musician. Wrecking Ball would just really caught my attention. And then a lot of stuff I've heard after that, I'm like, wow, she's actually really good.
I would love to do a hardcore country cover of Wrecking Ball for sure. But then again, that's one of those things like, it falls into that pop realm. I don't know if we're going to, bridge the gap.
And see, I'm all about it. I'm all about it. But I have to, take a step back. And these guys are the ones who have this idea for hardcore country, and really kind of keeping that chain of command in some respect is really what's I think driving the success of this, is that it's unified behind a voice and a vision, and you can really saturate yourself and get into odd areas, and we can explore that at some point, but right now we still are trying to discover in a way who Silo are and what we're about in terms of songwriters and what the sound is. And I'm thrilled that your response to the debut album has been so positive, Pariah, so thank you, because that just hopefully this that many other people will feel that way too about it.
Well, I honestly think, if you wanted to pursue something like Wrecking Ball, this album could get the attention of somebody at Miley Cyrus's level. You could get her duetting a cover with you.
I'm pretty sure the guy that masters our album masters for Miley Cyrus.
Well, there you go.
Well, so do you know who Ted Jensen is?
No.
Oh man, he's famous in the sound engineering world, but he did everything from Appetite for Destruction to, he's worked with Skinner, Breaking Benjamin, and I think Avenged Sevenfold, and
I've seen Bring Me the Horizon in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he's definitely got his hands in a lot of amazing material out of Nashville. So yeah, Ted at Sterling Sound, we love you guys. They make us sound like we know what we're doing.
We spared no expense. We spared no time, and we spared no expense making Silo happen. We're in it to win it. When I first started getting with these guys, I'm like, I was in a band before. We did the tour thing, we did the album thing, and I was like, but I never really felt like I reached a point where I was satisfied. I always wanted to take a band and just balls to the wall. And it's like, now that I'm a little bit older, I've always wanted to do this hardcore country thing. I just woke up one day here this past year and was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do it. And I've just been investing all this time and money and energy, and I've just been running 1,000,000 miles an hour. And I wake up every day and guys, what are we doing next? We're shooting a music video. We're gonna create some social media. We're gonna go do a radio interview with our boy Pariah. What's
somebody
up?
Somebody try to get Miley Cyrus on the phone. Right. All of it.
Well, what's funny is I already started the overtures. It was like, if she's gonna do a Metallica covers album, I want to talk to her on the air. So, I've already started reaching out and doing the negotiation with, all that process. And and when you're at her level, there's multiple people you got to go through.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, maybe I'll bring you guys, if I get her on the air, maybe I'll bring you guys on and maybe you can do like an impromptu duet and Brian play guitar or something. See if, you can come out with a couple of bars of Wrecking Ball.
Please. Please.
Oh.
Miley, if you ever see this, please.
Just say, Miley, if there's anyone you ever work with of all the people I've ever interviewed or had on my show, Silo's going to be the one. Point her in our direction.
Well,
Link.
You should probably just send a copy of your disc to her. Just say, hey, got an idea for a Wrecking Ball cover, or if you're interested in something else.
I feel like there's a laundry list of people I would love to send a record to, and we definitely have plans to send our record to other entities. Like we talked about attaching our album to a blow-up doll and sending it to Sirius XM Octane, and to their headquarters. They got a PO box that you can send stuff to. And it's like, how many bands a week just send their album there, and it probably gets thrown in the trash. So we're like, maybe if we send a solo blow-up doll, they'll get their attention. We've thought about stuff like that, but
I can tell you, gimmicks get attention. So I get some weeks almost 100 new songs a week sent to me. And I found you guys because I was in some group on Facebook. It might have been the Hard, Heavy, and Hair group. I have a group where fans of the music talk. And I was just asking, so what's different are you into? What have you heard that's really cool? And somebody says, well, when Silo comes out, they're going to change everything.
Oh, really?
And I heard,
awesome.
I'm like, okay,
Silo, goosebumps.
And then, I go and I find your Facebook page, and then I found the video for Glitter and Gold. And that's when I reached out. It was like, why aren't you on my air? You have to be on my air.
That's awesome. I would love to know who said that comment.
It was a couple of months ago. I don't think I could even find it.
Ugh.
Well, either way, we love that. That was very, very, very flattering.
First of all, Pariah, when you get a chance, you need to send us your address so we can send you some Silo swag. And if you ever do come across the person that told you about us, I would like to send them some swag too.
I'll see if I can find them. I mean, it's a long shot, but I'll see.
Chances are it's probably one of our top fans, and we've already sent him swag. We're slowly growing our fan base. I don't think we're doing too bad considering we've really only put our first song went live on all the streaming platforms on October 4th. We released our music video I think a week or two after that, which means we didn't exist to the world until mid-October.
Yeah.
So if you think mid-October to now, we're just getting started, Pariah. And we don't have a huge Twitter following. We don't have a huge Instagram, Facebook following, but it's snowballing, and we're excited.
It is, and you guys came out right before a massive election when the whole news cycle was, consumed by politics, and then what happened in November just kept that, politics at the top of the news cycle for the next 3 months, and here you are. I'm looking at your Spotify numbers, and they look pretty damn good for just coming out.
Well, what's ironic is I think we're down in the teens now. We were up to 30,000 monthly listeners there. I think.
Yeah, we saw 35,000 monthly listeners on.
But we just put out after midnight, and it's going back up.
Yeah, that's growing.
And when did you release After Midnight?
Oh, last Friday.
So February 5th.
Yes.
Yeah. So Spotify says you got 2,500 listens since then. And, for the people who are listening at home, that's 5 days ago as we're recording this. So that's pretty good.
We'll take it. No, I wish I had a couple zeros on it, but, we'll take it.
We'll get there. I'm just hoping I get to be in the band.
So one other thing I wanted to say about covers. So I don't know if you've listened to my show, but I do a segment on almost every show. Some shows are, like the Valentine's show is a special show. I do a segment called Cover Song of the Week, where I play a hard rock or a metal or a hair band cover version of some other song, whatever genre the other song happens to come from. And I drop hints throughout the show. It's kind of a game. It's a mystery that runs throughout the show. And then I play the cover back to back with the original. And I've had like Britney Spears originals. I've had Lead Belly, Black Betty, you know, from back in 36 or 1936. We're getting close to 2036. You know, so yeah, if you guys decide to record a cover, I hope, consider letting me break it, because I would definitely put it in the cover song of the week.
We should just give you a dark horse and then let you run with it, see what happens. We're not going to release it on streaming platforms, I don't think, but it'd be interesting if like you aired it and all of a sudden like everyone was like, oh, where can I hear the song? Then it's like we'd be forced to put it out there somewhere.
Yeah, release it as a non-album single.
It'd be interesting.
We send it to him just so we can hear it.
At least, yeah.
Yeah. Because if it leaks and goes big, oops.
Someone tell Katy Perry.
Sorry.
Well, you know, like I said, so the Hard, Heavy, and Hair show airs on 5 continents, and I'm on FM, I'm on AM, I'm on internet stations, including the biggest markets, New York, LA, London. I mean, I'm on the air in Jamaica and Hong Kong, if you can believe that.
Incredible.
But yeah, so I don't know, if something happened to get leaked, you know, if it found its way to my inbox and there was no do not play this embargo, you know, or don't play this until.
This message will self-destruct.
Yeah.
Definitely don't let Katy Perry hear this amazing cover of her song. Just right there. Do not let her hear it under any circumstance.
Yeah. So, well, if that happens, you know, if something just happens to show up, if I, you know, get something from a bunch of bandit masked headbangers, you know, that's how you describe yourselves on the website.
Yeah, if we don't release it, then how are people going to Shazam it?
That's true.
I think you can register it with there's some way that the ID, the musical ID and everything can get transferred to Shazam without it actually being released. And I tell you that because, and I'll just probably cut this from the interview, but one of the tracks you sent me, the metadata didn't come through. So I Shazammed it to get the title.
Interesting.
So, you know, before your album was out, I got the Shazam data for 8 seconds.
Would that have been the song Pistol Whipped? Do you remember?
You said 8 seconds.
8 seconds.
Oh, 8 seconds. Oh, I'm sorry. Interesting. I wonder why that is. Well, so truth be told, like, yeah, I totally understand the metadata. And the thing with metadata is, though, when you upload it for distribution, when you upload your WAV files for distribution, all that metadata gets overridden by those distribution systems. So, like, when songs actually go live across streaming platforms and download platforms, if you're able to, like, you know, buy it on iTunes or whatever, it comes downloaded with, like, completely different metadata.
Oh.
I don't know any of this, Pariah. None of it. I just write the words.
Some of them.
Metadata is really important to radio and, you know, and everything I do. I've actually written how-to guides on how to get your metadata in your music, because I get so much. So I get so much music every week. I just I dump it all into this digital inbox with the music management system I use. And then I listen to everything. And a lot of times I'll transfer stuff to my phone and listen to it in the car, you know, as I'm figuring out what I'm going to play for the next show. And so many tracks come through as blank, or some music promoter thinks it's cute to put the genre in the album name, you know, or I'll get the artist and the title of the track reversed,
right?
Which is not always obvious. You know, I mean, you can't always tell which is which. And I've actually aired a song. I got bid. I aired a song once where the title and the artist name had gotten reversed, and I heard back from BMI and I get yelled at for it.
Oh boy.
Because the royalties couldn't get paid correctly because of the way it came through. So yeah, I mean, and so many of these bands, your metadata was great, except for that one song. I don't know what happened, but the metadata was great.
That is weird. Yeah, dude, dude. I tell you, they make it tough to be a musician these days. And I've been doing this for like the better part of a couple decades, like doing the music thing or whatever. It's like I'm always learning something new or something's changing, right? Like I think most musicians don't even know the concept of metadata. They don't know the concept of adding their music to BMI or ASCAP. They don't know what sound exchange is. They don't know how to trademark their name. You can't copyright a band name, but you should trademark your band name. Right. They don't know how to register their songs with copyright.gov. And what sucks is most musicians don't know how to do that. And if they ever take off, like they're left in the dust or they're screwed over, they don't collect their royalties. Or a lot of artists, like they don't get off the ground because they're not collecting all of their royalties, or people are not finding them because their house is not in order. You know what I mean? And it makes me sad to think about that. But like I've had to learn the hard way. I've had to like research, and it cost money. It cost copious amounts of money to trademark shit, to register copyrights. Yeah, it's crazy. And then you're always left with this feeling of like, did I do everything right? BMI, sound exchange, copyright.gov, trademark. Yeah, it's crazy.
A trick I learned is if you're tight on money, don't copyright every song. Copyright the whole album as a collection, and then you just file one application for it. But yeah, the trademark thing I think is going to be heating up. So given what I do, I listen to a lot of hard rock. I listen to a lot of metal. I like almost everything. I don't like a lot of modern hip hop, but I like old country. I like dark country, but anyway, so I listen to a lot of hard rock, and, especially if I'm prepping for an interview and if I'm on the go, I'll just pull up Spotify. So Spotify has learned I like hard rock. So I'm listening, and you guys know who The Cult is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm listening, and then the little reader on the car dash says The Cult, and it's hip hop. And I'm like, no, next track, another The Cult hip hop. Then I just interviewed a metal band called Banshee. And again, when I was driving, I pulled up their music on Spotify, and it was EDM from this woman who does kind of ethereal voiceovers to the spoken word voiceovers to the EDM. And it turns out it's a new trend among hip hop and EDM artists, mostly the self-published young ones, to take older hard rock and recognizable metal band names and then use those same names to try and get some stealth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see that for sure. Well, that's lame. That is lame.
It is.
The thing that I've seen that grinds my gears is, so we use DistroKid for distribution, and everyone has an opinion like, oh, TuneCore's better, or CD Baby or whatever. But DistroKid's always been my go-to just because of ease of use. They don't take percentage of your royalties. You only just pay for the subscription, and it's cheap. But anyway, like you release a song through DistroKid, like they push it out to Apple Music, awesome. They push it out to Spotify, awesome. You can manage your Spotify profile, awesome. They send it out to like 100 other retailers, awesome. But when it gets to certain places like Amazon, for example, Amazon Music, so once it's in Amazon Music, for whatever reason, Amazon can't gather that you are one entity and the songs that you've released are a part of the same collection, and that I'm just going to use Silo. Like Silo is one band. It's crazy. If you go over to Amazon Music and you were able to pull up Glitter and Gold, our song, or Warpaint, you can see that's like, artist Silo, but you click artist Silo and it like comes up with all this other crap. There's no artist page over there. It's like there's other artists named Silo, and there's songs named Silo, and there's all. It's just messed up. And there's a couple platforms that do that, but it's like you would think that they would have this shit figured out by now.
You would think so, unless they're doing it on purpose to try and sell other product or keep you on the site longer.
Something. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them. Dang it, Amazon. Now I'm like, y'all are smart.
I hate to praise Spotify for anything because of how little they actually pay artists, but I do like
Like
how I can,
0.0008 eighth of
yeah,
a cent per song play, something like that.
yeah, like that meme going around, with the $2 check. 10 years on Spotify, I finally made it,
Yes.
But I do like how their search works, and then they show an image. I see your silo or the cover of the album with the woman and the silo logo,
Yeah.
so I can immediately identify you guys.
Thank God.
I do like that.
We weren't the first result for Silo on Spotify for a while, but I think we are now.
Well, let me look. I don't know if my previous search history will make a difference, but yeah, top result is your black and white logo. And
Yeah,
then
Love it.
and then below it I see glitter and gold and war paint. Then I see the songs silo by Rabia Masad and Angel T33TH.
slowly but surely, we weren't even on the radar on YouTube search for any of our music videos. Like you had to explicitly like put in Silo glitter and gold music video, and now if you just type in Silo with a third result, but that's only because there's like 2 videos ahead of us about, I think they're paintball videos, and there's something like Silo brand or Silo like war related. But
Oh yeah, Silo Entertainment's like an airsoft company, and they've got a huge following of these airsoft videos, which is kind of cool. Those guys should put some Silo music to their airsoft war videos.
I'm confident that we're going to be the number 1 result for the word Silo on YouTube here very soon.
Yeah, you could put Pistol Whip to an airsoft commercial.
That'd be cool.
We want the song 8 Seconds to be the rodeo anthem.
Like professional bull riding and, any of those guys. I mean, they're incredible athletes. I mean, that was a fun song because we kind of looked at each other and we're like, we need something that's about the rodeo and something that feels, musically what it's probably like to get roped to a 2,000-pound bull is trying to stomp you out. And that was a lot of fun. That's one of my favorite pre-choruses, into a chorus that we have on any of the songs on the whole album.
Pariah, did you know that the breakdown at the end of that song is exactly 8 seconds?
No, but that's interesting. I'm gonna have to.
So when you hear "Let 'Em Go," that whole chug section, we timed it exactly 8 seconds to really hear how long that is on a bull, and it's a lot longer than you think.
I've only done mechanical bulls, and I haven't done the real thing, but that's a long time.
I'm almost half expecting them to tell me to get on one for the next video.
Would you?
Mechanical or real? I'd get on a real bull. Yeah, I would. For the video? Yeah.
You guys have Matt insured, right?
They said so. That's why I got upside down in the barn. Yeah, the production company for sure did. We got to double check my policy with the band, but yeah, I mean, they've got bull riding schools here, and I've seen complete layman's get on them after a couple of hours, and it's scary. But if you've got the right training and everything, I told myself I would do it because I wouldn't let anybody on this project do anything that I wasn't willing to do myself. So if that came to it and professional bull riding came and, said, hey, we love this song, it'd be a great promo for you to get on a bull for a feature, I'd go through the training. I'd have to, get a couple of guys tell me what to do and really go through it, make sure that I'm working out and in shape.
I would cut a check to a CGI guy, be like, hey, make it look real. I'll get on a green bull,
green
with a green
scarf over my head, and we'll just put my face on it. We know a visual effects artist too, so yeah, I would do it for the in-camera part, but again, like I said, there's a small chain of command here, so I gotta listen to what Brian's gonna let me do. It's not very hardcore country to be stuck in a wheelchair, I suppose, from that, but gosh, I would do it. I'm an adrenaline junkie though. I'm a snowboarder and motorcycles and all that.
Have you played 8 seconds for any of the people, any of these riders at rodeos?
No, we have not. on a professional side on LinkedIn, I have fortunately been connected with some of the people here in Colorado with professional bull riding. So there's, a warm introduction, but we've been 100% silo and promotion and trying to keep up with our social media and everything and getting all of our fan packs sent out. So, we haven't really been pursuing any of these ancillary license items as of yet. I'm sure all that will come at some point. But yeah, I don't know what else we could do kind of until the album is out and, the momentum from that kind of carries us. So yeah, we're eager to, talk to anybody that wants to use some of these songs for that purpose. Absolutely.
I just want solid condoms.
Well, we could probably make that happen.
The silo G strings and,
Yeah, the G strings. Yeah, the panties are going to be a big hit.
Did you have those, or because
they're in the works?
Gold sounds perfect for that.
Glittering gold. Yeah, road hard, get wet. There's a couple of them that we think are pretty funny.
Well, I was going to ask about the 8 seconds because I really like the drum part is almost thrash drums. And I can just imagine, being there on a bull and that, and this driving beat matching your heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
So I was just curious if anybody had heard it, anybody who did that kind of bull riding, if they'd heard it and what their reaction was. But,
not yet.
Comes out. If you guys will tell me, I'm just really curious, just let me know.
Yeah, not yet. And we're really excited to share that. I think, how a lot of baseball players, and I'm sure the bull riders sort of have like a theme song or like a walk-up song that they have. I'm just hoping that something that we do gets into one of those guys' repertoires because it really does, to me, sound like what it would feel like to be on a bull for 8 seconds. That was sort of the adrenaline punch and, describing Friday night, stadium lights, grip it tight, kind of the whole thing, and the drums, I think, are a big part of what makes that sound so thrash and aggressive, like you said, where people get that, whoa, it's carrying me to, a point of, aggression that's building and building and building, and then we cut it off at 8 seconds, which, that's all by design. It's sort of the rhythm and release of these sounds. But yeah, that was a fun one to do.
No, it's not about how long Matt lasted in the bedroom.
Definitely not. Definitely not. That song would be called 2 seconds.
This is recorded and going on the air, right? So dating
yeah,
possibilities in the
please
future.
use those sound bites.
My girlfriend does it. Make sure all the metadata is clean on that, but my girlfriend will vouch. It's at least 9 seconds.
9 pump chump.
Nine pump chump. That's so funny. So
was there the song Pistol Whipped? Was there an inspiration for that? Are the lyrics about anything in particular, or anyone in particular?
Yes and no and everything. I mean, I guess, we write songs based on what we know, and we write riffs on how we feel. And, to an extent, everything is drawn on personal experience, but really once the inspiration has come through, we take on much more universal themes. The fun thing about Pistol Whipped is I like flowers. And this is a whole play on, a pistol not only being a gun, but also the pistol is the sexual reproductive organ of a flower. So Pistol Whipped sort of is not only, there's a lot of subtext into, and layers to that, but it's really about addiction when you boil it down. It's addiction to love, sex, drugs, whatever these things are that sort of consume you to the point where, you'd rather have that than anything else. And so, I mean, the lyrics, so it's, baby rise, take your aim, shoot me up, load the vein, squeeze the trigger, ease my pain. There's all these images of, we're talking about guns, but we're also talking about, drugs or addiction. But really, so many of these style of songs are about girls and women and love, because that's a lot of what we know and write about. So yes, I mean, it's about real things and people, but talking about this and, love is the drug, And at some point, fire away, there's nothing left for you to say, fire away, I'm all strung out on you again.
Mhm.
And it's, it's not specifically about any one relationship, but it's supposed to be about everybody's relationships, and then we draw a lot of inspiration for that. And then of course I have a lot of fun with it being, not only pistol whipped, like you're actually smacked with the gun, but also pussy whipped in a way, because we're talking about the pistol part of the flower. So there's a lot of lyrical subtext, and as Brian mentioned, I got my start as a writer, so there's a lot of novel nods and lyrical meanings and kind of sub layers that a lot of these songs have, where we not only have this amazing aesthetic for being outlaw metal, with guns and pistols and bandanas and all that, but also this other element of talking about baby or girls, and kind of throwing a little sex sells element in there. So yeah, it's not about anyone particular, it's about something particular, which is not just sex or drugs or alcohol or love or work or whatever is an addiction that everybody can identify with, but there's a lot of subtext to it. And really we're trying to write songs that are catchy and memorable. I like when people go, I haven't stopped singing this all day, like I can't get your fucking lyric out of my head. I'm like, well, that's kind of good, that's what we want. It was by design that way. These songs are written with that in mind. So it's sort of a long-winded answer for Pistol Whipped, but I do love that song. I want to set it to an old Western or something for a video, which would be really cool.
Here's what I'll tell you about Pistol Whipped. Audiophiles are going to hate it. And they're going to hate it because when Ted Jensen was mastering that sucker, he blew it out of the water. Like, I don't think I have to tell you, Pariah, but for anyone listening, like when you master an album, like your objective is to get it to sound good on all musical formats or musical platforms and get it at volume to where it's the highest you can get it across all of those. And Ted Jensen, I think Matt, you were saying at some point, like he was even like part of like the original like Apple Music and setting up how music should be streamed or mastered.
He's involved with the Apple Music or the iTunes in some capacity. I saw sort of how that sound was developed and how they I don't know what they use, compression or whatever the sound code is through Apple Music. So everything on Apple sounds really good.
But with Pistol Whipped, so Ted mastered the whole album. But with Pistol Whip explicitly, like Pariah, next time you listen to an album, just like listen through it. When you get to Pistol Whip, you'll notice it now that I've said this. Like it is loud as fuck. It is like you think your speakers are going to explode, like almost where it's almost like clipping the whole time. I actually can't listen to that damn song anymore just because of that, because I'm like, like it's a great song. It's catchy as hell, don't get me wrong. I love it to death, but just because it's mastered so loud, I'm just like, oh God, next song, skip.
See, I listen to it all the time. I listen to it loud all the time.
Yeah, but Matt's like, everything sounds good. Put it on the radio.
Oh yeah, I'll hear the first mix of something. They're like, oh man, this really has to be, really done better. And I go, put that shit on the radio. But again, that's my inexperience, Pariah. I came at this being a home songwriter, trying to just cut little demos or learn how to, play an acoustic and write some lyrics and put it over a song. And maybe someday, somebody would bring us in or give us a publishing deal so that I could write some songs for a big artist, That was kind of, I always wanted to be sort of the studio writer or one of those just, Nashville staff writer or something. And but I also had the other side of I always wanted to be in a rock band. And this is, a nice meld of both of those worlds. So yeah, of course, I hear a first mix come out. I'm like, that's amazing. Put it on the radio. Let's distribute it. And they're like, no. You have to understand there's going to be a few more iterations of this. And I have to practice a little patience.
He's excited.
I do get excited about it.
Well, it's good that you're excited by your music.
I am, man. I don't know how, some of these other guys feel. They probably get sick of it, but I am excited in that this is something that I want to listen to, and it's taking me a lot of time to get sick of the songs. We listen to them, as most musicians know. We'll probably listen to them hundreds and hundreds of times before they'll ever see the light of day to the public, or particularly War Paint. It's almost like PTSD at this point, where hanging upside down trying to sing certain parts of that song, especially because the director knew he was going to have it only at the end, but for some reason always had me start at the beginning whenever I was recording. So there's like 90 seconds of me singing the song with it's never even seen, in the video. But I love listening to him because it's what I want to hear. And it's the music that was missing from my world, and my Spotify is all metal and rock, really heavily into Guns N' Roses.
Anyone who says musicians that listen to their music are narcissists or whatever, are full of crap, because if you're a musician and you're not writing music that you would listen to, then what the hell are you doing? I listen to music all the time because I'm like, shit, that's good music.
Exactly.
Yeah, there are some musicians that are just too critical of themselves. They can't go back and listen to their own music without finding every little flaw, But yeah, in my experience, most musicians listen to their music. If you don't like it and you're writing it and recording it, how can you expect other people to like it?
Right.
So what you put out is, by definition, probably something you like.
I still find all the flaws, and I'm like, gosh, could have done that better. There's actually one of our songs. I'm not even going to tell Matt this. I'm not going to tell Matt which song this is, because it'll drive me insane. But on one of our songs, there's a sound on there like an elevator opening. Like the ding, like the elevators make when they open or when they come to the floor or whatever. And every time I listen to this one particular song or album, I hear that damn ding, and I'm like, oh, freaking elevator.
You should text it to me, because I have one that I hear and I'll be listening to the music all the time. And there's a part, and I don't know if it's the ding you're hearing, but I have one section where it sounds like my girlfriend is going, hey. And I'm always like, listening. She's yelling at me in the house.
Oh, yeah.
And it's always the exact same part of that song.
See, that's why I don't get discouraged, because people listen to stuff and they hear stuff that's not there, or they pick out stuff that other people wouldn't pick out or whatever. So
I'm so proud of it too, because there's a lot of analog sound to this, and we made sure of that. I play acoustic guitar on probably half of the songs. We just usually are like, we need an extra layer, go put down some cowboy chords, and that's all I'm really good for. These guys are really the virtuosos, if you won't even accept that, but to me they are. And our producer is, wickedly talented co-writer. But I just think it sounds amazing. I like hearing completely real analog things. I like hearing a little squeal from the finger sliding up a string, and the fact that you can hear resonance and that the mics are well placed. I mean, that's just the mark of a good producer and our engineer. But yeah, I'm just so proud of this body of work, and the fact that I get to do this with my brothers now. It's
how many really times have you ever heard of an engineer or a producer or a sound engineer saying, "Well, shit, I got to be in this band"? What,
I don't recall anybody off the top of my head other than your guy Eric.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they work with all kinds of musicians on a daily basis. They were producing all kinds of crap. Even Eric said he's like I produce shit all day long. He's like, I don't want to be in any of these bands. But he's so in love with Silo and what we're doing. He's like, he's like, Silo's all I want to be doing. He's like, how can we make it to where I do nothing but Silo? I'm like, hang in there, man.
Yeah, he's a little tired of hip hop clients, but it's a big portion of who's running out studios right now. So more power to him. And he's so wickedly talented. He can do anything. He can produce anything he wants. And I think, we just lucked out having Brian and Adrian as two of the primary writers. It's their sound. There's one type of sound that we have and the other type of sound with these songs. And then really Eric and I are sort of the meat in the middle, if you will, for the sandwich piece. And
I don't know if you want
it
to
works.
Like that.
Well, we already know.
We're a big country metal sandwich, Pariah.
So speaking of the hip hop clients and for the producer and the studio, what do you? So hip hop is big, and hip hop is a very big, evolving genre. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but the lead singer of Maroon 5, the guy who was doing America.
Adam Lambert.
Adam Levine, yeah.
Levine, not Lambert. That's the Queen.
Yeah. No, Adam Lambert, big rock and roll guy. But yeah, Adam Levine and then Gene Simmons both say rock is dead. What do you guys say?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
well, I saw the greatest meme ever today in regard to that. It was like Gene Simmons says rock is dead, but then it shows pictures of Kiss merchandise. So like Kiss toilet paper and Kiss condoms, and it's like, all right, who really killed rock and roll? Merchandised it into the ground with like, shit or whatever. So
literally into the ground. They have a Kiss coffin.
Oh, wow. Yeah. They have a Kiss everything. And I'll say Gene Simmons is a smart mother effer for doing all that emergency. And that's one of the primary reasons why Kiss got so big and why why they're multimillionaires. Like, because they put on a good show, they have an act, they have a gimmick, and they merchandise that gimmick. Honestly, if I'm being real honest, like, I don't think Kiss were that great musicians. If you didn't have the flair and the makeup and the merchandise and the story behind it, and like it was just a bunch of dudes in some room looking all normal, like, yeah, some of it's okay, but it's not like, it doesn't like grasp you theatrically, like, whatever. But in terms of Gene Simmons as of late saying rock is dead, I think that's the dumbest thing ever. I think they're just becoming irrelevant, and so he wanted to stir things up a bit, maybe. But I'm all, dude. Like there's always gonna be like some new gun saying like they're the new hot thing, or some old gun saying that the young gun is killing the spirit of the true thing or whatever. Like that's an age old battle. My personal like thing is like I don't care. Like I just want to put out good music. I don't give two shits. Just like I don't give two shits about the Morgan Wallen thing and him saying the N-word. Like, do you know how many times like someone's been pinned in the media for that, and then like a year later no one gives a shit? Like what's the other guy? Not Luke Bryan, but Luke Combs. Like, he just did a thing where like, he like spoke out about equality or whatever, but then people call him out because he had a Confederate flag on his acoustic guitar in one of his pictures, and I'm like, well, he's actually racist. It's like people just say stuff to stir up, and you can never please anyone. So I don't even know if Gene Simmons actually even said that. For all we know, it could just be hearsay. Like,
I've seen him say it. I just think it's ironic that the guy that said rock is dead turned his rock band into a disco band. But I don't think rock is dead. I think that rock is going through a rebirth, like a phoenix. If it has died, it's not for long. If it has died, it's not permanent. And I think rock as they know it is dead. You can no longer just be the degenerate band on Sunset Boulevard playing the Whiskey or the Roxy and get discovered by a Geffen. And, now you're on a mega stadium tour. I think those days are probably dead. I think their ability to really understand the way that metrics and social media and the way that the digital medium has changed it. But as long as you still have pioneers of people, like Dave Grohl on his Neve console recording the 2-inch tape and trying to preserve sort of the fundamentals of rock. And then, gosh, I mean, you look at the Guns N' Roses tours or Metallica tours or Slipknot. I mean, these are as big as any other show, just because the number of radio stations playing this has now been reduced to our hard rock stations and our classic rock stations and alternative. Doesn't mean it's dead. It just means there's fewer channels that are picking it up. And that's just based on, marketing. I think at some point, a lot of this hip hop, EDM's growing rapidly. I think, I'm a fan of hip hop. I listen to truly everything. I'm probably the the poster child for that stereotypical. They're like, oh, no one actually listens to it. Well, I kind of do, really, really do. And it's like saying classical music is dead, but there's still, the LA Philharmonic playing Schubert symphonies, so is it dead? No. Is it like it was in 1987? No. And I think as long as you kind of understand at what point in time you are on this timeline, I know that as long as Brian and Adrian are going to keep writing the riffs that they do and they let me sing on it, we're not going to let rock die, for sure.
Right on.
So,
no matter the genre, nothing's ever dead, because there's always either something's going to become a subculture, or it's going to reflourish, or it's going to turn into another genre, even though it's really just a rehash. Like new metal, for example. Like new metal was stemmed out of the 90s, but there's bands that are coming out now that are brand new that are very influenced by new metal, but they're throwing in gent aspects. And gent's a new genre, but even gent's kind of old, because it's been a thing for almost a decade now. So now people are like, oh, mathcore, and it's like, well, what's mathcore? Like, so there's this constant evolving of all these genres. But I don't think anything's really dead, as long as there's a group of people, no matter how small, listening to the music, and people are still writing and putting out the music. Is any genre ever really dead? I tell you what, sure as hell not dead, never going to be dead. Hardcore country, baby.
Not as long as we're here.
We're coming for you. We already get shit for that. People are like, y'all act like you invented hardcore country. And it's like, well, yeah, we didn't. There isn't really a genre. Like, you can't go look up hardcore country as a genre right now and see a bunch of bands underneath it. Like, we're the only ones really using the naming convention.
Yep.
And our music doesn't sound like anyone else who, would even fall close to that category. And we've already talked about this in the interview, but between Hank 3 and Ashjack and Texas Hippie Coalition and what else is out there? There's a bunch of bands that are there's thrash grass is a genre.
Barncore,
farmcore, farm emo, there's all that.
Barncore was a big thing that came out of Oregon, 20 years ago.
Was it?
Yeah, I was playing golf.
I'm not originally from here. I've only been here off and on for 20 years. But.
Okay. Yeah, I was playing golf with an old buddy of mine he's a audiophile. He's like a Wikipedia. You just tell him anything, he just knows all about that. And he was like, man, I heard you're starting a new music project. And I was like, yeah, it's a hardcore country band. And he looks at me and goes, you mean Barncore? And I went, what? I've never heard of that before in my life. He goes, yeah, I think it originated out of Oregon. Some of the farm towns out of there, where they would get together and basically just play really fast metal songs, but with country instruments, a lot of banjo and washboards, but at the tempo and a lot of the, structures that you'd see in metal bands or hardcore. So again, I went and tried to find a bunch of those groups. Sure, that's what that sounds like, but it doesn't sound like Silo at all.
So, like I said, you guys know I've played your music, and I've heard from some of my listeners on, they like you. But I also heard from some of them that if I had told them what was coming up, and I kind of teased you guys. I was like, I got some hardcore country coming up. I got country metal. You're going to like this. But if I had really teased that out a little bit longer, some of my listeners wouldn't have tuned in for it, they said. Once they heard you, they liked your music, but they didn't quite understand what is hardcore country and why should I listen to it when I'm listening to a show that plays
typical
Motley Crue and Pantera and Godsmack.
Yeah.
So how would you maybe in terms of a comparison, how would you say fans of this band, fans of that artist, how would you might like Silo? How would you put that?
First of all, I totally get why some of your audience might think that, because the minute a metalhead hears the word country, they're like, oh,
pussies!
How dare you? I don't want to mix my metal with anything country related. I'm like, we get people like that comment all the time. we put out ads and we put out memes and we put it, throw that stuff up on social all the time, and we make jokes about it. And like, there's always that one guy in the comment that's like, keep your country out of my metal, boy. And it's like, well, did you listen? There's been a couple times when I'd like reply to that person, like, well, did you actually listen to the music? And they would go and they would listen to it. They'd be like, I'm sorry, this shit's dope. And I'm like, yeah, what's up? So I totally get it. But at the same time, like, we're using the hardcore country thing because like we have to brand it somehow, because there isn't really I mean, we could call it hard rock, but then it's like, oh, they're just another hard rock band. It's like, and that's not going to get anyone to listen to it. So we think by using hardcore country at least creates a little bit of intrigue. But in terms of comparisons or like fans of kind of thing, like, we get all kinds of stuff. We've gotten Luke Bryan and Bad Wolves, and we've gotten Avenged Sevenfold meets Brantley Gilbert, and we've got
my favorite was Slipknot meets Johnny Cash.
Oh yeah,
that was one of mine that I was like, because I mean, yeah, Johnny Cash was hardcore country back in the day. I mean, that dude was hardcore.
He was like the original outlaw country,
right? Yeah.
And we actually we do boosted social media, like, paid promotion to like get some of our posts out there. And we actually do, I'm just gonna say it out loud right now, we target fans of people like Five Finger Death Punch and Volbeat and Luke Combs and
Aldean, Jason Aldean.
Yeah,
that's a big one.
Like we know there's people out there that want this kind of music, right? I'll give you a great example. In my car shop that we talked about earlier, like where I restore all of these cars, like there's a guy down the way. I'm just out there on a Sunday one time, and there's this guy down the way. Like, he has another shop close to mine, and he pulls up and he's listening to Jason Aldean in his truck. And then he gets out and he goes in the shop, opens up his garage door, turns on the radio in his shop, and he's listening to freaking Lamb of God. And I'm just like, that's the guy. I wanted to reach every person in the world that's that guy. You know what I mean? Like, because it exists, and I know those people are out there. I'm that person. Matt's that person. And I've had this idea that this existed for like, more than a decade, and we're finally doing it. But yeah, I don't care what comparisons people throw us in. I don't care what bucket they put us in. I don't care that they're even hesitant to listen to us because we put on a label, we don't put on a label, whatever it is. Eventually, someone's going to know our name. People are going to know our name. We're going to get it out there, and even the naysayers, like, we're going to get them. Because I tell you what, I'll give you another great example. When I was a kid, I went to Florida and I went to a mall, and there was a band doing a signing, and I was like, I did, they did the thing on like the FYEs where you could like listen to the album or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I listened to this album and I was like, this is the shit. And I took the CD back to Ohio because that's where I lived, and I was just in Florida visiting. But I showed this band to all my friends. I'm like, guys, this is gonna be the next big thing, and this is the shit or whatever. And like, all these people are like, that's stupid, and the band name's stupid, and the genre is stupid. And you know who it was? Limp Bizkit. Before they were anybody, all my friends were like, rap metal? That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. And they were like, Limp Bizkit? That's the dumbest band name I ever heard. And then all of a sudden, it just out of nowhere, like, it just started dominating. And it's like all the people that said they hate it, they came around, like, ended up being the biggest fans. I'm not saying that's what's gonna happen with Silo. I'm just saying, like, there's people out there that are like, don't mix your country with my metal or whatever. Like, we're gonna get to them because they're gonna have the friend that did listen to us. They're like, hey man, did you listen to this band Silo? They're pretty wicked ass. You know what I mean? It's gonna happen.
I mean, yeah, for me, it's more like, people are gonna be turned off no matter how you brand it. Whether it's hardcore, they're gonna go, too much, or it's country pussies. You're gonna find both sides of that, but ultimately, when your girlfriend's listening to Silo, that's, and it's catchy and you can't forget some of those lyrics. That's where we're going to get them.
We've already had people that say like our stuff, you call yourself hardcore, that ain't very heavy. But then I like give them a link to like a clip of 8 seconds on one of our promo video, and they're like, oh shit, that's heavy. You know what I mean? But conversely, we've had people say like, that's that ain't country. That's just heavy metal with banjo on top of it. But then you send them the link to After Midnight, and they're like, yeah.
Oh yeah, that is total. Well, that's like half country whiskey song.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually really loved doing that song because that's one of the first ones that we took in. We actually were about 5 minutes from the studio when our other guitar player said, "Hey, what do you guys think about this?" And he plays this. And we were in the car for like an hour and a half at that point. And it blew me away. I was like, what the hell? Why did you just now think to play this for us? So we bust out the studio, and Eric's out there with his cup of coffee at the farm. And we're like, we got a hit. Let's go. So we go in first thing. We just basically plug in right away. I mean, within 5 minutes, we're recording the song. And we finished it probably by lunch. And it sucked. It was not what we wanted. It was good, but it was not silo good. And after I finally was like listening to it, this is one of the first ones that I listened to, and I went, we should not put this on the radio. We just didn't know what to do with it. And it just didn't have that silo. I keep calling it sterling because I have this like shining silver sound that we're trying to sort of, silver bullet that's gonna get people. And eventually that song got thrown out. It just went back into the drive with a bunch of the others in contention, and we deleted the vocals off of it. And a couple weeks later, I was up at the studio with Eric, and we took another crack at it and wrote it more like, okay, what if this was a Rocky Mountain love anthem that starts very, I'm a sweet country boy, describing the birds and the trees and shit, and then goes into, like you said, it's like a whiskey country song. It's 2 beers, just me and you after midnight. And it really developed into this, almost a romantic weekend, the way it kind of sounds like sitting in a cabin with your loved one, the crackling fire and getting a little buzz on and looking at the sky at midnight, so that was how that whole thing kind of turned. And it's one of my favorites because, it really was my nod to more of like the nitty gritty dirt band, playing songs that were more about Colorado and the Rocky Mountains. And it's nice for me to be able to kind of get a nod to that. And then also the perseverance side of that, where this song was completely discarded and we salvaged it. And it's definitely, it's one of my favorites. And we've had people that have listened to the other songs and they'll listen after midnight. No, it's too soft. This is only our 3rd song that we've released after, being out for 3 months. We've already had people going, oh, they're selling out. This isn't like their original stuff. Okay.
The internet is a strange place.
But I'm really proud of that one. And I'm glad that, it's gotten the reception that it has. And I think that's also part of one of the reasons why our female audience has gone up a little bit, because, hey, these are hard rocking outlaw boys with bandanas, but at the same time there's also a sweet side, so
So touring will come back at some point. Do you guys have any dates booked?
No dates booked. Well, we've had up on our website, on our tour page, obviously, like we put up there that we're in the studio, therefore we're not playing shows right now. Obviously COVID's still a very real thing, but having been in a band that was a national touring band, I learned a lot from those escapades. And essentially this time around, sort of the game strategy that I'm on, like I'm leading, is to create the demand hitting the road, right? So on our website, you can petition for where you would like us to play, in which city. Like you just put in your email address and there's a picker. You can pick which city or the closest city you want us to play in. And so the concept there is like, well, if we get 3,000 people that want us to go play in Anchorage, Alaska, we're going to Alaska. You know what I mean? Because we've got to meet the demand. Because there's been other tours I've been on where it's like, yeah, one night you're playing in front of 5,000 people, but the next night, driving 8 hours in one state over, like you're playing in front of 8 people. And so we hit the road. I definitely want some more consistency there. We've also talked about potentially doing a buy-on with another, artist of stature, which is pretty common among bands. And I think that might be an easy way for us to to get on tour if we haven't created the demand that we wanted to by then. We're definitely going to tour. Like there's no ifs, ands, buts about it. Like it's so funny. Like, Eric, his hesitancy when joining the band, even though he really wanted to, is like, I'm married with a kid. It's like, well, we're going on tour. Like, he's like, and he kind of hesitated, and then he was like, you know what? He's like, I'll go on tour. He's like, well, my kids can come visit me, or I'll fly back or whatever. So I think we're all of us members are definitely like on par with going on tour, and I think it's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen this year. I think a goal for us would be just to put on like a decent sized show in an area where we have a pretty good fan base and just kind of go from there. But again, we're just trying to create that demand, right? Like I'm too old and I'm too far into this game to do the thing where like, oh, hey guys, show up and play for some beer and pizza and, bring your friends kind of thing. Like, no, I'm not going to do that no more. So.
Yeah, well, so much of it nowadays is pay to play. Pre-sell the tickets.
Right.
But okay, before we get away from that, I just want to say, so if you would like to hear, or if you'd like to see Silo in your town, go to silo.band, BAND/tour, TOUR, put in your email address, put in the nearest city, select the city from the drop down and click submit, and tell everybody else to do the same thing, so that you can, when the world opens again, you can get Silo in your town playing for you and hear this hardcore country band.
Yes.
So silo.band/tour.
And we will not spam you. I promise you.
Unless you would like to win some free shit.
Well, even then we won't spam you. We're doing this guitar giveaway, and we've only emailed that list once, and it was to give them an update about the giveaway. So it's not like we send out emails and like flood your inbox with bull crap about Silo.
Yeah, so a little plug there. The gold Telecaster that I used in the glitter and gold video, we will be giving away on Valentine's Day 2/14/21 to coincide with the album release. You can sign up for that at silo.band/git. That's GIT. Go in there as many times as you can. Find all the ways to get exposure, because we are giving away that gold guitar from that video in 2 days.
And people should just come follow us on social media anyway, because we're hilarious and we have plans on giving away a lot more shit too.
That is true. We are pretty funny.
I'll put links to all of your social media in the show notes on pariahrocks.com. But just tell us what's what's your Twitter handle, what's your Facebook page?
Easy. Silo Country. Twitter.com/Silo Country. Instagram.com/Silo Country. Facebook.com/Silo Country. YouTube.com/Silo Country. All of it's consistent. And we
TikTok.
TikTok.com/Silo Country.
Venmo/Silo.
Yeah, there you go.
Do we need that?
Yeah, you just go ahead and Venmo all your money to Silo. No, I'm just kidding.
Although merchandise page is up, which is kind of fun too.
Yeah, what's on the merch page?
Just bandanas, stickers, vinyl transfers, and Silo guitar picks right now. Out of stock on shirts. We need to get new stuff up there for sure. Hoodies, hats, stuff like that. But one thing at a time. We only been a band for like 4 months. Come on now.
Well, you already got plans for Silo branded panties, you were saying.
Oh yeah,
Great.
Lots of panties, coffee cups, the essentials.
Absolutely.
Pariah,
Okay.
We'll put you first in line for them Silo panties.
Thanks. I'll send you my size. Okay, so Matt Launder, Brian, the heart of Silo, thank you guys very much for taking the time to talk to us and for coming on the Hard, Heavy, and Hair Show.
Man,
really
thank you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, man. We
Loving the
appreciate
new
your time.
album.
Thank you very much. We're very, very excited for everybody to hear it, and your support has been invaluable in this, buddy.
Yeah, super appreciate it.
I'm happy to help. I mean, you guys make really good music. You've got a unique sound, but even if it wasn't that unique, you still make really good music. So
thank you.
Thank you for sending me the album. I've been enjoying it.
Awesome.
Absolutely, man. Like I said, just send us your address and we'll get you some swag.
Sounds good.
All right, buddy.
All right,
man.
So thank you.
We'll see you on the social medias.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, take it easy.